this is the first step to making my petticoats to go underneath the dress, and I'm using the pattern pieces that came with the pattern because it's actually made to fit a very large hoop, larger than the one that I've got, so it's come quite in handy. The only difference I've done to the petticoat is made it a straight edge along the top. Like so. The next thing I will do is join these three pieces together. There was an extra piece for the back, but because of how small I am and how small my hoop is, the extra back piece wasn't needed. So for now I'm just going to join these up and leave the back open.
Okay, having cut out our yoke, I've made it approximately 5 inches deep, because we don't want the pleats on the petticoat to go too high up the dress. We want a flat area at the top of the dress. So this is basically the shape of a yoke that you need to make. And I've made 2 sets because you'll need a front and a lining. I've overlocked around 3 edges. This isn't absolutely necessary, but I'd like it to be neat. And then you join up your seams just over 1 centimetre in, and then join this one here, and you do it on both sets. And then what you will do after that, when the seams have been sewn, you will transfer the top to the bottom to make a lining.
What to do on your yoke is to put your lining to your outside, remembering to put the best side to best side, so at the bottom your flap should be facing down like so, the top one's your flap should be facing up, and then starting from the middle you pin outwards and making sure that your seams on both pieces meet, and continue pinning outwards and then back to the centre again and outwards the other way, and then be back to the machine and sew all the way across the top. And then at the moment these ends are open, and I'll have to sew those together as well, so it's sealing the ends.
Right, since we cut this particular yoke out, I've had to make a slight alteration to the shape because there's such a big bustle at the back that if I left this 90 degrees it wasn't sitting properly. So I've actually made this at a 45-degree angle. When it goes onto the bustle you'll be able to see why I've done it like that. If your bustle isn't really that big, you probably get away with a 90-degree angle, but this is what I did. I just reshaped the inside to a 45-degree angle. Right, now what we've done is we've sewn the outside of the yoke to the petticoat with all the pleating in it, like so. The next step is, this is the inside of the petticoat. Fold your yoke back over like that, and what you're going to do now is create a turn up at the bottom of your yoke, and then you're going to hand sew it or machine sew it as close to the stitching that you've just done. So that goes all the way along. Just do quickly now so you can get an idea. Like that. So the whole of the yoke will be turned under to meet the stitching on the inside of your petticoat. And you can either hand sew that or machine it, because it doesn't really matter. And you'll go all the way around from seam to seam. Okay, we've now put the yoke on, and the inside of the yoke is now firmly sewn on. This is the outside. You can see now why I did a slight angle change on there, because the bustle is so high, but now it lies flat on the back of the bustle. What I've got to do now is just find out where I'm going to put the poppers, or you can put Velcro on if you like. So this has got to be a little bit tighter than it is at the moment, but just to give you an idea of why I made the alteration. Okay, the next step will be to put a very long fringe along the bottom of the petticoat, and this is all pleated with box pleats. The measurement I'm going by is 6 inches wide, and I've used the edge of the material so it's all neatened off at the edge and I don't have to do any turning up. And what I need to do these box pleats so they're very neat is to have a pleat flipper. You can buy these on the internet, but I asked my husband if he could make one for me, and he did. And it's basically a thin piece of wood, just about hand size, and then he's put 2 steel prongs down into the wood and glued them in, because I need this distance at the top to be just about ½ an inch, which will give me just over an inch pleats for the job. So I'll just show you how to use that now. Okay, we take the pleat flipper and put the fabric between them. Now I'm doing a box pleat here, so my next box pleat has got to turn out on itself to create the box. So you put it into between your fabric, give it a flip like so, then push the whole thing up towards the pleat that you've just done, and then take that out. And then we're going to sew along till we just about catch the pleat with the sewing machine. Just about there. It's just gone into that seam, fold rather. It's just gone into the fold. Now we're going to do another box pleat, but this time we're going to go towards that one. So put the fabric in your flipper, turn it towards the foot, push the fabric tight up against the previous pleat you've just done, take your flipper out, and then sew along until you just go through the next pleat. Keep your needle down, put your fabric in, and now we're going to go away from the sewing machine. So turn the fabric up towards you, push the pleat up against the foot, making sure that the fabric is tight when you do this. Take that out, and I can just use the prong here just to hold the material flat as I go forward. Just going into the next pleat with the needle down. Now the next pleat is going to go towards that one, so flip the material over, push the whole thing towards the foot, making sure your material is tight. Take the prongs out, and then just use a prong then to hold the whole thing flat as you sew along. Just going into the beginning of the fold with your needle and leave it in there, and then just continue going backwards, forwards, making your box pleats as you go along, and this is what you will end up with. Loads and loads of box pleats. When you've done sufficient length to go all the way around the bottom of the petticoat, it will then need to be pressed to make sure that your pleats stay in place, so it'll have a good iron once it's finished.
Okay, I have now box pleated my entire trim, which measures about 3 meters 70 centimeters long. As you can see, I've done quite a lot. It goes on and on and on. The next thing we're going to do is give it a press with the iron, which I'll show you in a moment. Okay, just showing you quickly the best way of ironing your pleats down. Already you can see the difference between the ones we've ironed here and the ones over there shown earlier. This requires a bit of patience, it is a bit time consuming. But when it's done properly and they've all had a good press, it will look nice and neat all the way around your trim.
Okay, we've now pinned the pleated section onto the bottom of the skirt. What you'll need to do at this stage before you sew it properly is to try the whole petticoat on over the hoop and your bustle. See if you have to make any alterations to the length. If not, then just carry on and sew it onto the bottom of the skirt.
Okay, this is what your finished petticoat should look like. Got our yoke band around the top with a velcro fastening there, and then 2 press studs there and another one there to allow you to get in and out of it easier. At the bottom we have the pleated trim all sewn on. Okay, next I'm going to show you my bustle bag I have under my petticoat. Okay, after experimenting with the train on the back of my hoop, I realised that because of the amount of weight that's in it, it was actually pushing the hoop forwards, which I didn't want. So I've made this little bustle bag like I did on my Scarlet Hara dress, except made this slightly bigger and puffier, so it gives that nice shape around the back, and that just ties on. Okay, I've now put my hoop over my bustle bag, and as you can see it gives that lovely shape at the back to bring the hoop outwards. Unfortunately it does raise the hoop off the floor at a slight angle upwards like that, but at least at the front it'll be nice and flat, which is what I need for this dress. So it's just forcing everything backwards slightly for me. And then when I try and put the train on later on after I finish my outer skirt, hopefully, although it will try and push the hoop forward a bit again, it won't push it forward so much as it was doing without the bustle bag there. So just a bit of a tip there for you.